I actually really like it late at night, approaching midnight, because there's nobody here. So, with that said, cryptocurrency, what happens when you die? No one wants to think about their deaths until it happens. And if you haven't thought about it, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, especially when you're getting up there in age, 60s, 70s, if you don't have a will, especially for cryptocurrency, especially if you have well over 2,000, 10,000, 100,000 or more dollars, for some people, $2,000 is a lot. That's enough to pay for the cost of a funeral in certain countries and more. If you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you don't have a will, if you don't have the passwords and keys and everything saved somewhere in a safe place where your family members, where a trusted friend or trusted partner, whoever is able to access that, if you were to unfortunately die, well, then that money is lost in ether space. And we were discussing about this earlier, where when we hit 19 million bitcoins and continuing, when we hit 21 million, and that's going to be the maximum, of that 21 million, probably 20-30% will never be accessed again. Maybe in the future when you have quantum computers and you're able to brute force some of these passwords, but there are accounts where you're going to have millions of dollars just chilling there. And there was a story on Reddit how a guy died and his family doesn't have money to pay for the funeral, but they knew he was interested in cryptocurrency. So they were asking, hey, what professional help can we get to recover some crypto? Not all, but some. We don't even know how much he had. We don't know what he had. We don't know where he had it. We don't know anything. They don't know anything about cryptocurrency. And you're going to have a lot of family members, especially older ones. If you die young and your parents, need money, a lot of people still don't fully understand it. So the first thing you have to do is check centralized exchanges. There are some good things about centralized exchanges, and there have been some positive posts about sexes not too long ago. With that, one of them was that on centralized exchanges, sexes, you have protection. Not all, but you have protection in case of hacks. And some people would prefer to have it all and have, your keys and privately store it. But this is another aspect. If something happens to you and nobody knows your passwords and everything's encrypted, they're never, ever going to get access to it. Meaning, if you have millions of dollars or thousands, but it turns into millions of dollars later on, and your family needs that money, they will never get access to it. So if you feel, especially if something's going on, if you have cancer, if you have any medical history, medical diseases, understand that this is big. And get a lawyer, get a tax advisor, get someone who you trust from your family, someone who might know a little bit about cryptocurrency, hopefully, as it does become a little bit more mainstream, and tell them basically what's going on. Now, please do understand that if you choose the wrong person, if it's a trusted friend and you give away their password and they have full access to your money and then they log in and suddenly see there's $50,000 in there, you might lose a friend very quickly. So please do be careful with who you give it to. And not all family members. I understand there's certain families out there where it's probably even worse than a friend. You give them access and boom, that money is gone. Now, there's various vices out there, and unfortunately, you can't trust too many people in this world, but if you are gone, you can't do anything with that money regardless, and no one's going to be able to touch that money unless you really hate everybody and you have no friends, no family whatsoever. Even in that case, it'd still be nice to donate it to charity. Get a lawyer, get somebody who would legally be able to move that money. So what some people advise is have it spread out, have it on centralized exchanges where people next of kin can prove that they're your family and they're able to regain access to it. Have this information written down somewhere, maybe on a bank safety deposit in a bank safety deposit box that someone's able to access. Of course, they have to go to court and prove they are related to you. But eventually people would be able to regain some of that money, especially if Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever altcoins you've invested are going up, and especially NFTs in the future. If you have $1 million NFT of a rock and you want to hand it to somebody, you never know. Maybe today's your last day and suddenly a car crash happens. And this is something that, I'm turning 25 and I've already started planning. retirement and potentially a will in the future. If I'm getting married, I have to think about my partner, what's going to happen with her in the future if anything does happen to me. I am, a little bit of a bigger guy. What happens if I get a heart attack? What happens if something, if I need to go to a hospital, and right now I don't have health insurance, and something happens? If I had a fair amount of money in crypto, of course, my partner would know my password. So that's that, just something to think about. I know there's some people who like to be extremely secretive and no one ever knows, and, you do you, but some people just don't think about it. And you don't realize that you don't have to be 57. You can be 22 and get a heart attack, and that's it, or something happens to your mind. You're not mentally there anymore, and, there's a ton of money. And what happens if you have to be taken care of? What happens if you have to have a caregiver? What happens if you have to go to a retirement home, even if you are older and your family doesn't have money for that? These are expensive things. If you've got 6 figures, 7 figures, with cryptocurrency, you never know. There's been too many cases where someone had $10,000 in there. 5 years later, it's suddenly over $1 million. So anyways, just something to think about. Have a great rest of your day. Out. Peace. And man, it's cold for April. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.